Once again, we are live from Exhibit Hall C at the Rhode Island Convention Center. It is wonderful to have all of you joining us online and in person here in Providence. Welcome to SIGCSE Coffee Break, brewed fresh every session by Google, sponsored, thankfully, by Google. Thank you so much to our friends at Google. My name is Mark Sherriff.
And I'm Will McBurney. We're going to catch you up on what's happened here at the SIGCSE 2022 Symposium and what's coming up.
I feel like I caught you off guard with my energy
bit.
level there, right there.
Maybe. I'm a little unprepared, a little jittery, you know.
Oh, that's fine. So Will and I have been teaching together for several years and doing podcasts together. And so I was trying to just power in and be like, yeah, Will, it's time to go. And
I've been dealing with insomnia a little bit, so that hurts a bit. But no, I'm fine.
You're good?
I'm good. I'm
You're
good.
good. Have you had enough bacon while you've been here?
I have had a fair share of bacon.
A fair share. But now, for those of you that are joining us virtually, you don't know this. We've had bacon at literally every possible moment.
Yeah, I don't know if I made bacon right now.
I don't know. I think there were bacon on the donuts this morning.
Yeah.
I think that last night at the reception. Sorry, y'all couldn't be there with us, but we did have
like bacon wrapped scallops, bacon wrapped shrimp.
bacon wrapped bacon.
I don't remember the bacon wrap. I should have tried that. Was it good?
Those bacon wrapped little cocktail weenies.
It's not exactly the same thing as bacon wrapped bacon.
But it said the bacon station.
That it did say the bacon station. That is correct.
Yeah, and I think at break yesterday there was just bacon.
Yeah, there were like 4 varieties of bacon that were cooked differently, I guess, or seasoned differently.
Yeah, and we're in Rhode Island. That's not exactly what I was expecting.
I guess it's the ocean state, so it's sea pigs.
Sure, exactly.
The great pigs of the sea.
Right. What is it? Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about what's coming up for the rest of the day. What have you actually? I'm kind of curious. What have you been to so far? What have you enjoyed?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously the symposium keynote yesterday with Barbara Lipskoff was fantastic. I like kind of understanding the historical perspective of how ideas arose, because I think understanding how people went about solving the problem helps you understand why it's a useful solution. So I want to use some of those history lessons in our software engineering class. Great talk. I think it was this morning on predicting success in CS. So using kind of benchmarks in CS1 or benchmarks at the end of CS1 to try to predict success in the future or where a student may struggle, so that way intervention can occur. So a lot learned from that.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't made it to many sessions. I made it to my paper session that I had to go to, and I didn't present. My co-author did, and he did a good job.
Yeah.
Luther did great. So hopefully I can make to some this afternoon. If you are looking for a session to go to, one thing we always want to point out is our supporter sessions, because we could not do the symposium without our supporters. They give so much to us, and not only their time, their money helps too, but also being able to share their tools and techniques with us. So we got coding rooms at Microsoft at the 3:45 session. We have a sister session with ACM Inroads, the magazine. I'm curious, how often do you read your ACM Inroads?
We'll say I'm a couple issues behind.
Yeah, I got back. So we all got back into the office, right, after COVID, and I had a stack of academic magazines that was as tall as my daughter. It was really quite impressive. And so to say I'm a few issues back is a
bit of an understatement.
Bit of an understatement. We got a couple hybrid sessions coming up on responsible computing, and also a special session on the next 15 years of computing education research with current board chair Adrian Decker is helping lead that up, so that should be good as well. Now, one thing I absolutely want to highlight to everyone here and certainly at home, because it will be broadcast, is the SIGCSE business meeting. Now, this is where the board meets. There's some general business that happens, but it's also the opportunity for an open Q&A, and I've gone to the last few when there's been an opportunity to go to them, and they've been very informative about knowing the state of the organization, what's coming up, And we actually have a guest that's going to come talk to us about what's coming up in just a little bit.
Yeah.
Have you ever made it to one?
So I actually did go. So the last time I attended a SIGCSE in person that wasn't canceled right before it started
Okay, fine.
was in Baltimore in 2018. So I did attend then.
Yeah, great. Friday night, often known for the extra meetings and other workshop excitement. So one thing that our virtual chair, Kristen Stevens-Martinez, thank you for all your work, definitely wanted us to point out was NC Wit is holding a virtual reception. And so if you have the opportunity to attend that, that would be fantastic to do. And then workshops. I love workshops because it gives an opportunity to get deeper into a topic that you might not normally get to do in just a normal session. You get to get hands-on something. And I've been so tired, I don't think I'm going to make mine. So,
Yeah, I don't have any workshops that I'm signed up for this time, but I did get a lot of good ideas a few years back. This was actually when it was in Seattle for the intro class I was then teaching at Penn from the guys at Harvard talking about the CS50 tools they use.
oh yeah, David Malin and all the
Yeah,
folks there
yeah.
at Harvard, great stuff that they have going on, certainly. But if you here on site are interested in a workshop and you haven't had a chance to register yet, you still can. You can go into Cvent and add it. You can it's as easy as that. If you're at home, virtual authors corner tonight at 9:00. So, as I mentioned, the SIGCSE business meeting, lots of interesting things going on there. But the one thing that's going on coming up is we're going to have elections. We are going to be electing a whole new board, and we have the chair of the elections committee, Amber Settle. Come and join us, please, Amber.
Since your old mic will switch sides, I guess.
No, because your name is right there.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
You can join.
So good to join everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. Why don't you just lay it out? What's the procedure going to be like? How does it going to work? Because we want to make sure that the SIGCSE community knows how to vote.
Absolutely. So voting is open only to SIGCSE members. Of course, that makes sense, right? Because that's who's doing that. Remember that the voting is for the executive committee for the SIGCSE organization. So I think a big confusion people have sometimes is they hear SIGCSE and they think of this conference.
Yes.
SIGCSE, of course, has 4 conferences that it sponsors. It also does a whole bunch of special things. So, for example, special projects. We have those announcements every 6 months, and so you can have special projects. So the election for the board is for the entire organization, right? So it's to oversee the whole organization. And the board's term is 3 years. So it begins in July of 2022. July 1st, 2022 is when this new board is going to take their positions. And everyone who's a SIGCSE member will get an email in April. So there's still time to become a SIGCSE member. And
Yes.
vote. So that's good. And so everyone will get information online about how to vote.
Great.
And the positions that we're voting for, of course, are the 4 executive committee positions. So the chair, the vice chair, the secretary, and the treasurer. And then we have 3 at-large members. And so we have actually 7 different people who are stepping up for those at-large members. Yeah.
So I know I'm curious about this because, when I was symposium chair, there were a lot of things where it was just like, well, let's go ask the board. And it just seemed like I will write an email to the ether and some answer from on high will come down and something like that, which obviously is not it. You know, it's a dedicated group of people to trying to make sure that the SIGCSE organization keeps going. So I'm kind of curious, what is it like day in and day out? Hopefully not day in and day out on the board. That would be pretty intense. But, kind of what's the cycle like? How y'all work together, that sort of thing.
So I think I have to say there's pre-pandemic SIGCSE board and then there's post-pandemic SIGCSE board.
Like everything else we do.
Yes, absolutely. So I would say pre-pandemic, we would meet in person twice a year. We would meet every couple of months virtually, to discuss things. Post-pandemic, I have to say we've been meeting pretty much once a month because there's a lot that's going on that we have to end up discussing. It has pretty much all been virtual. So we all saw each other once in person in Chicago in November of 2019. And then a few of us managed to make it in 2020
Oh
before
my-
the conference was canceled.
I remember this impromptu board meeting that happened in Portland that we were desperately trying to Skype people in, and we were finding every microphone we could to try and set it up. It was something.
So we did have that meeting. Now there were only 3 of us in person, but the dedicated 3 in person showed up. Everyone else showed up online. And then we met on Wednesday. And so we as a board have not gotten to meet much in person, just like kind of everyone else, right? We've all had to deal with things virtually. What's the board going to look like going forward? I don't know. Like, if we could all predict, I would be very rich, right? If I could figure out what's going to happen. So I don't know. The next board has a lot of things to think about. So this conference is hybrid, right? How are we going to keep doing that in the future? I think we would like to keep doing that in the future, but how does that happen? They're going to have to think about that. There's a lot that they're going to have to take going forward. So whoever gets elected, be ready to work, right? They're going to have a lot of things they're going to end up having to do. So I really appreciate everyone who stepped up and said that they were willing to serve on this board. And I have to say, put a plug in there. We have 8 countries represented among the candidates for the election.
Wow. I had no idea.
We 2/3 of our candidates are women. So we have just an amazing group of people who've stepped up. I got to, as the chair of the election committee, you get to read the bios, to proofread them. And I got to read them a couple of weeks ago. They'll be available, by the way, for people when it comes time to vote. So they'll just see all those bios and all that kind of stuff. We have some amazing people running for the board. I love seeing what they've done and what they want to do for SIGCSE, and I'm just excited about what they're going to do when they take office. So you need to vote, though, right?
Yeah, you do need to vote. Do you have a question? No. So just recently, the steering committee for the Technical Symposium was created. And our sister conferences, ICER, IDSE, they've had steering committees. So I'm wondering if you could talk to, what is the relationship now between the board and the steering committees? Has that helped the board with managing some of these tasks? Has it gotten to be like another level of management to make it even? I'm just kind of, I really want the inside dirt. No, I just kind of want to.
So I have to say, I mean, the first steering committee we put in place was for IDSE. And that's because we felt that there were some things that a more hands-on group could manage. And at the same time, roughly, we created Comp Ed. Now, I know Comp Ed has only happened once. It'll happen again, I promise. So I think 2023 is when we're thinking about it. And frankly, those steering committees worked so well that we decided that having them for the rest of our conference is useful. So I think that what the steering committee is really about is people who have served on that conference committee, people who know that conference really well, and therefore people who understand the culture and what that conference needs to do, and can be a contact point for those kind of decisions. And so I think what it allows the board to do is to focus on the broader picture, right? So where do all the conferences fit together? What kind of communication do we need to have between the steering committees? Where are we going to go overall as an organization? And so it frees up the board. Now, I should say, there's a board member on each of these steering committees.
Yeah, exactly, right.
So it's not that the board is not involved in the steering committee. So they certainly are. But it just gives a dedicated group of people who know that conference really well and who can help guide that conference into whatever it is that they're trying to do. So it's just a way, I think, to tap the wisdom of the community and get people from the community more involved in steering the conference over many years. So yes, I know it sounds like we added middle management, but it's really to make the conferences better.
But when institutional memory is so important for a lot of these conferences, to know what have we tried, what failed, what worked, what do we need to try next time. And our board rotates every 3 years, except for the chair, which I'm going to ask you about in just a minute, and your time as chair and then ex officio. But it feels like that having a steering committee where representatives who, like for instance, if you look at the representatives on the Technical Symposium steering committee right now, there is a 7-member steering committee. There is a 3-member steering committee. There is a 2-member steering committee. There is a 1-member steering committee. There is a 2-member steering committee. There is a 1-member steering committee. There is a 2-member steering committee. There is a 1-member steering committee. There is a 2-member steering committee. There is a 1-member steering committee. There is a 2-member 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 steering committee. There is a two-time program chair, two two-time program chairs. Michelle Craig has to have done plenty of things. I'm just not thinking of them. Right? She's done a lot.
She was on the board.
She was on the board. That certainly is true. And Steve's on there too.
Yep.
He's also been very. So yeah, these are people that have a lot of institutional memory, and as you keep bringing people in, that can stay. So when a board rotates, one person stays, the chair as ex officio. So this is the end of your 6th year of working.
This is actually the end of my 12th year on the board.
Wait, what?
So I was first elected to the board in 2010. I was elected as an at-large member.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
then I became treasurer. And then I became chair, and now I've had my 3 years as immediate past chair. So this is actually my 12th year. Yeah. He's stunned. He doesn't even know
Yeah,
what
I
to
know.
say.
Yeah, exactly. The stamina to make it that, and then you get up to COVID, and then that's your kind of finishing. Hey, at least you're finishing with an in-person technical symposium, which is great. I mean, there's still other events happening before the end of your term. I think, IDICE will happen before the end of your term. Right? No, it happens.
It's in July.
It's in July. It's after July. Okay, yeah. Dates, they're tough. We forgot how calendars work nowadays. Okay, sorry, I'm getting trolled in chat by a friend of mine, by Tom Horton. Oh man, I knew it was a bad idea to turn on chat. It's like when we're in class and we have Twitch chat going on. So anyway, any questions from you? Or?
Not offhand.
Thank you for your years of service. I mean, it's not like you're leaving us. I mean, obviously, before you know it, you'll be program chair. Don't say things like that. No. Okay. Well, everyone, make sure you are looking for that email in April.
April.
Yep.
Yeah. So April, it will come into your email. I will send whatever's associated with ACM. I will be sending a reminder to the mailing list about the fact that the election stuff has gone out. So if you see my email and you don't get something from ACM, you can even just contact me directly. So, yep.
Now, we saw the candidates on the screen during the plenary session, and I remember a few of the names, and I would not ask you to try and give them all right now. Is there a place that people who virtually can see the names right now?
There is. If you go to the SIGCSE.org site, and then you go under the news, I sent out an announcement to the mailing list, and that actually got posted there.
Okay.
I actually do happen to remember most of them off the top of my head, though. So we actually, and I'll highlight them a little because I'm kind of proud. So for chair, we will have a woman from outside the U.S. Because we have Allison Clear as one of our candidates.
Mm-hmm. Award winner from last year.
And Judith Galazier is the other candidate for chair, and both very experienced people. So we're going to be in good hands no matter whom you elect. We will be in good hands. For vice chair, we have Paul Denny and Brett Becker are running. And I'm very sad I had to run them against each other because they're both fabulous.
Yeah.
But I think whoever we end up with, we're going to have somebody great there. For treasurer, we have Mark Bailey and Jill Denner. Who are running against each other for treasurer. Both, again, great candidates, very qualified. And then for secretary, Dan Garcia.
Who's that?
Yeah. I don't know, some guy.
Some guy. Okay.
And Marianne Egan.
Oh my gosh.
Are running against each other.
That's a heavyweight. Those two have been so important to our community for so long. I mean, all these people have, but those two names really.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and they're the choice. It was a choice to run them against each other because that means we'll have a second person who's served on the board before.
Okay.
And so that was a very important choice that we made. And then we have 7 people running for at-large, and I'm not sure that I actually have all their names memorized. I'm sorry. So you can go look up the 7 people we have for the 3 at-large positions. But again, a huge number of really qualified candidates out there. So I'm really excited to see who we get.
Absolutely. I'm impressed. I mean, obviously you're running the committee, so it makes sense you remember most of the names, but still. Wow, that's great. Again, thank you so much for coming and chatting with us and giving us information. Make sure you are watching for that email, and we'll see you at the board meeting, the business meeting tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right. Woof.
That was a lot.
No, it was great.
No, it is, yeah.
It is great. I mean, it's great to think about how to get more involved with the SIGCSE organization. I mean, so I'm not going to pick on you too much, but you are a relatively newer member
Yeah,
to the
this
organization.
is counting the online year, this is the 4th SIGCSE attending. So.
And a lot of our junior faculty at UVA, we try to talk them into, twist their arm into doing various things at the symposium in the organization. And as a junior-ish member of the computing education research area, like, what do you think about when wanting to get more involved? Or,
I mean, certainly, so some of the things they were admittedly a bit overwhelming, just and from the standpoint of I'm still learning kind of the groundwork, how the organization works, etc. But certainly, it's something that I want to get involved in because it's this super important mission, and in my mind, certainly needs to just extend beyond colleges and universities. I'm a very big advocate of wanting to teach computer science, at lower level K through 12 stuff. I think it should be to us at this point as fundamental as like math and reading.
Absolutely.
I would argue. And so it's certainly something that I look forward to doing as my career develops. I mean, I've only been in a position that I would call kind of education research oriented now for, about two and a half, 3 years, and about half of that's been in my basement.
That's true.
Fending off cats as I try to lecture to black rectangles. So,
That sounds like a bad video game.
kind of was.
It kind of was, yeah. Anyway, I mean, great to have you here, joining us here on camera.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Give everyone another shot here of Exhibit Hall C. Here, Tom Cortina, give us a big wave. It's our Tom cam, so we can. Yeah, great eye roll from him there. So you can see that we have a good number of people here on the show floor. I believe the numbers were upwards of 750 to 800 attendants in person, with another 700 or so virtual. I think somewhere were the numbers that Larry mentioned in the first plenary session.
I think the total was it was north of 1,500.
Yeah, it was
1,540 something.
Yeah, in that general range, which is incredibly impressive for our first hybrid conference.
Yeah.
And we're really happy to have everyone here on the floor here in Providence that could be here on the floor. But of course, we're really happy to have all of you joining us virtually. This is a new way of us doing this, doing it hybrid. When we did everything virtually last year, admittedly, we had some issues we were working through, and we have some issues we're working through this year too. And we've seen some comments on Twitter, some comments just passed around the message boards about how do we engage, what should we do, and we want to continue this conversation. The 2023 chairs, Kristen Stevens Martinez, will continue on as the hybrid chair, and she's really interested in making sure that all of this works for you all at home when you're trying to participate virtually. So stick with us and get involved. If you're interested in helping with the virtual nature, if you're interested in helping with the on-site nature for Toronto for 2023, contact the chairs. You can email symposium@SIGCSE2023.org or chairs@SIGCSE2023.org, and that will get to Maureen Doyle and Ben Stevenson, who will be our symposium chairs in Toronto. Are you going to make it to Toronto?
I'm gonna do the best I can. I actually think I need to update my passport. So.
Oh crap! I think I did my passport too.
Yeah, I think I'm like 3 years without a functional passport now.
So story. When we were I've told a lot of 2020 stories, but I have to get them all out of my system. I think it's good for my mental health. Anyway, so for Portland, I actually bought a passport cutter, like a passport picture cutter.
Right.
So we could take your picture on the show floor, and I could cut you a passport picture so you could get a passport for Toronto. I did not even think to bring it this year.
Yeah.
Oops.
Nah, I mean.
Dang it! There's something else on my floor that didn't make it here. Oh well.
You always forget something.
You always forget something. At least it wasn't toothbrush; it was a passport cutter.
Oh, that reminds me. I forgot my toothbrush.
Well, it's a good thing we're all wearing masks. So there you go. All right. Thanks. We'll be here all week. Try nothing. Thank
Tip for
you.
waitress. No.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us for the 4th episode of SIGCSE Coffee Break. We will be back tomorrow morning with the chairs of SIGCSE 2023 to talk about all the exciting things that are going to happen in Toronto. So if you're interested in what that's going to be like, be able to hear from, I'll see if I can do it this time, Maureen. Ben won't be here. He's still in Canada. He couldn't join us. Lean Kiat, Brian, and Lena Battistilli, and Kristen. So there's not going to be enough room.
Just push me out of the way, I guess.
Just push you out of the way. It's going to be like this morning when Alvaro and Manuel just kicked me off the show.
I mean, arguably progress.
Arguably progress. They've already seen enough of me. Thank you so much for joining us. It was great having you. We will see you tomorrow morning. Take care. Be safe. Bye.